Hey, what is up guys? It is your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at IG Emo's Mirana and the new Shard build. It involves a heavy right-click build where you go multiple Wraith Bands, Treads, Dragonlance, Manta BKB Daedalus, and you hit insanely hard. For anyone who's curious on what the Shard actually does, it grants you an extra leap charge, and while you're under the effects of leap buff, which typically gives you attack speed and movement speed, also gives you a 50% crit. So let's say you did 200 damage, every auto attack, with a ton of attack speed by the way, will do 300 damage, right? And so yeah, if you're excited for this video and ready to learn how to play this new broken Mirana, smash your like button, subscribe, and don't forget to give gameleap all of your money. Go sign up to the website down below. That's not a joke, it's a threat. I know where you live. Kind of. The first and quick thing I'd like to cover is the laning stage item and skill build. First things first, you want to ship out plenty of regen. In this case, he doesn't rush the bottle, he goes for an extra set of tangos and a Wraith Band. Then in terms of the skill build, I recommend you go what he goes basically every single game. He goes for 2 points in Starfall and a point in Leap. I see a lot of players go 1-1-1, and the problem with this is that you don't really have the mana pool for it. Your hero requires a lot of mana. And so yeah, go this 2-0-1 build, and don't go chucking arrows. Most of the time, it's just a useless spell in the mid lane, maybe to secure range creeps, but hey, the Q does that anyway, and better. So the first thing I want to bring to the table is a quick question, guys. Do you think Emo is going to gank this game or not? I don't really want to focus too much on the lane, and I want to go immediately to ganks because his laning stage is Doom versus Mirana, right? Nothing happens. No one kills anyone. Maybe Doom can doom you into an Earth Spirit roll. That is a threat, but the Mirana can never really kill Doom. He's too tanky. And so, which lane is Emo going to gank, right? Is he going to consider ganking? Well, the answer is whatever he wants. Anytime he thinks the enemy team is overextending. The reason why that's the answer is he has a lot of stuns. He has a Slardar, Rubik, and an Ogre. So no matter where he goes, there's always going to be a good amount of setup. You'll see that come into play here. He kind of just YOLO TPs in and tells his team to initiate. And this is the power of Mirana with this skill build. With 3 leap charges, it's very easy for you to close the gap. And so yeah, it kind of just wraps around here, finds the Coddle, and lands the Starfall. So for anyone who isn't too familiar with Mirana, how the Starfall works is it hits everything in the AoE on the first charge, and then, which I think people get mixed up, on the second charge, it hits what you're closest to, right? A lot of people don't know this. It's the closest enemy. So people will be like, oh my god, I'm so unlucky. No! It's the closest, right? And so anytime you're playing Mirana, if you want to burst someone, you got to do what Emo does. He leaps to the side for the attack speed, then before going for the Starfall, he leaps into melee range, which guarantees the second tick onto the Coddle, and he secures a quick kill. By the way, if you guys try to play a single game of Mirana without clarities, you will be miserable. This hero is starved for clarities. Look, buys treads, doesn't ship them out right away. He literally is waiting so he can farm the wave and buy more clarities. You gotta love to see it. The next thing I'd like to discuss, even though it's basic, is once again the Starfall, but more importantly, Arrow. I think a lot of players just use Arrow incorrectly. They're too free with it. They kind of just throw it whenever, and it causes them to miss. And this applies for position 4 Miranas as well. So in this clip here, you can see he goes in, goes for the Starfall, similar thing as we talked about earlier, right? Gets the 2 ticks onto the Doom, and he doesn't throw his arrow, right? He's waiting for the Ogre Stun. Now, Ogre Stun is very low duration, it's 1.5 seconds, and therefore you do need to throw the arrow quite quick afterwards, and that is an important thing for him to know, right? And so you'll see, as the stun comes out, he immediately throws the arrow. It might seem like a stacking of stuns, but in all reality, it's just a really low stun duration on Ogre. So perfectly played by Emo, and they pick up another kill, onto a big hero, the Doom. So moving ahead here, you're going to notice he picks up a Dragonlance. I'm a huge fan of this build on Mirana. It's very cool. It gives you a lot of agility, 14 damage as well, 14 attack speed, as well as 12 strength, and the attack range allows Mirana to really play the outsides of the fight extremely well. But why I want to really show this clip is I want to show what you shouldn't do on Mirana. This is also what you shouldn't do on, frankly, like every hero that is burstable, right? That is squishy. And what that is pushing mid tower with no vision. I know you're probably saying, oh, but Speed, he has an Ogre behind him. Speed, he has a Rubik behind him. Speed, he's very tanky. He's got 3 leap charges. But dear gameleap viewer, what you don't know is that the enemy team, they have a lot of initiation. And the thing is, he doesn't really run away. He's going for an outplay, which I sort of respect. But the problem is, Drow is kind of a counter to you, and not only that, they're able to get the break with the Nyx Assassin, which doesn't really do anything, but an Earth Spirit ulti as well to follow it up, and all of a sudden, the entirety of the enemy team is here. And this is very common. Wow, what a play by Kaka. But this is a very common outcome when you try to make outplays at a tower. It's something I've, funny enough, been catching myself doing in my latest pubs, but anytime you're going for an outplay, really try to avoid making deep and dangerous outplays at towers. Try to make those plays in the jungle around wards. Now let's get into the fun part, when he gets the Aghanim Shard and his Manta Timing. This is when your hero becomes incredibly strong. I mean, as is, he's already 9-1-7, popping off, but now you get an extra leap charge and the crit. And really, it's important to have these timings when you get this shard. Don't just buy the shard because it hits minute 20. That's like a for sure way to die over and over again in every fight if you're behind. In this game, right, he has this Manta, and it's a very good Manta game. You dispel all of Earth Spirit spells. You can basically dodge Doom, right? You can make him mess up the cast point. You purge Gust, you purge Blinding Light. It's everything you could want in a Manta game. And so after the Manta, he could go Shard. But in a lot of games, you're gonna have to go like Dragonlance into BKB, then go the Shard. You have to play it safe. Do not go Dragonlance and then say, oh, I'm having a bad game, I'll just pick up the Shard. No, you won't. You'll pick up 10 deaths in a row and your team will lose the game. The next thing, I know I could have mentioned it earlier into the video, but I think it's still important to cover. What that is understanding when to pick Mirana. First things first, his team does a lot of damage. They have a Slaughter amping damage, a Morphling, probably one of the highest, if not the highest, damage dealing safe laners in the entire game. And yeah, the attack speed from Ogre, the Bloodlust, as well as the Amp, works incredibly well with this right-click Mirana build, so there's a lot of synergy there. But the most important thing is understanding when you pick Mirana, your hero is not going to solo carry the game, unless you were smurfing. If you're smurfing, I guess you can just, you know, crush the mid lane somehow. But most of the time, your hero is sort of like, it's like a support carry. It's not going to carry the game alone. It needs another hero to dictate the 30 to 50 minute mark. Mirana is much better from this 10 to 30 minute mark, right? Not that she doesn't scale well, she does, and we'll see that. But you really want other damage dealers who can go in, threaten, be the burst damage, and Mirana can clean up. And let's see that come into play. In this clip here, his Morphling actually went down, but they decided to go high ground anyway. They do have a very strong Slaughter here. He's got the Blink Dagger as well as a level 2 ultimate, and they're ready to go in. And as you can see, it's crucial here that he has this Ogre Magi on his team. Not only can Ogre Magi set up stuns, but most importantly, he just gives vision. Mirana hates when he has no vision, or she has no vision. You get the point, right? Right, he needs to make sure there's vision, and because of that, he's able to line up a free arrow onto the Doom, and here comes the damage. The Bloodlust with the amp damage. Oh my god! You actually shred. It's insane. And considering the fact that he has 4 leap charges, he's able to disengage as well. We're going to see another good example of team fighting here, but I want to show a very important positioning change. I think a lot of players struggle to know when they should be the front line and when they should be the back line. The last fight, he was the back line. Well, why is that? He only has a Manta, right? I mean, sure, it's a good Manta game as we discussed, but you only can use it once. It's not going to protect you from everything. And so yeah, even though he's seemingly making the wrong play here, the reason he can frontline is because he has a BKB. And that item decision completely changes how he's going to look at the fight. On top of that, the reason why I like this BKB is he understands that he's not the guy who's going to be carrying the fights. He doesn't need to go another DPS item and just kill everybody. He needs to make sure his Morphling can have a good fight. Now, funny enough, in this fight here, his Morphling gets gone on, but let's take a look at what happens. So, right away, the main thing to note is that just because you have leaps doesn't mean you should YOLO to the backline. Very often, heroes like Caudle and Nyx will be building Yule and Ghost Scepters. It's going to prevent you from killing them. So, as a Mirana, it's very important to play around your stuns because the hero lacks, you know, a reliable stun. It does have arrow, but it lacks a reliable stun. You can kind of see that here. The Slaughter bashes up the Doom, and look at this damage output. It's actually quite insane how much damage she does over time. And keep in mind, at level 15, you get a 75 leap attack speed talent. At level 10, you get a 15 damage talent. At level 20, you get a mana break talent. Add this all together, and leap becomes a brutally good spell. It gives you 175 attack speed. You know what else gives 175 attack speed? Phantom Strike, right? PA's W, the one that makes you attack mad fast. This is that, but you get 4 of them, and movement speed. 32% movement speed to be exact. The next thing to know with this build is it's the only build that actually allows you to freely use your Mirana leaps to initiate. Typically, if you use a Mirana leap to get into the fight, it's a bad idea because you're losing the value of the attack speed. But with this extra charge, it's actually okay. It's still questionable, but leaping in with a BKB and a Manta means you're probably going to be safe, and with the 50% crit, you're going to do a lot of damage. And let's take a look at that here. His Morphling gets gone on, kind of a weird fight, right? Sure, the enemy Nyx is dead, but they lost their Morphling. Nonetheless, they go in, and you can see immediately, goes onto this Earth Spirit, and like 3-shots him, right? That guy wasn't even amped at the time, I don't believe, right? Now, this Doom is amped though, and look how much damage he's gonna do. Unfortunately, the Doom does end up purging the amp, but the Drow gets absolutely destroyed. Every single auto attack doing 400 damage. 400. With the 175 bonus attack speed. Just think about how actually insane that is. And this is when Mirana really hits this crazy timing. When she gets an Aegis, all of a sudden her problems kind of go away. Mirana's biggest issue is that she's very squishy. When she tries to initiate, a couple spells, like 1 or 2 spells, can drop her to half HP. But with the BKB, Manta, and an Aegis, her entire kit changes. And so in the late game, make sure you take a big priority on Aegis when you go these builds. Sure, it's not necessarily a glass cannon build with the BKB and Manta, but you are still squishy. A hero like Drow will still shred you. And so this Aegis is very, very, very nice and very important. Let's get into the fight. Also, by the way, DDs are just like broken on this build on Mirana because, you know, every auto attack you get is critting. Right, so you can see here with this DD leaps in. Look at this Doom. Look at this Doom. 1,000 crit, 700 crit, 1,000 crit, 700 crit. Over and over and over again, Cuddle is running for his dear life as they try to escape the wrath of the Mirana. It's funny, even in this clip here, he's getting gone on, right? Watch with his dying breath, his last breath of life, what he does. Throws out a couple of auto attacks, right? Onto this Earth Spirit. What is that, 3? Gets off 3 auto attacks. Okay, no, it's more like 4. Boom, 1,000. What? 1,000 crit. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that Mirana analysis. I know it was a much shorter game and I didn't go too in depth onto the hero. I just want to make sure people are experimenting with different builds this patch. Speaking of different builds, in the comment section down below, leave your favorite builds of 7.28a. I'm looking to make a video on top 5 or top 10 builds of this patch, and I would love all of your input so I can continue to try out things and even use your ideas. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. But yeah, that's going to be about all, folks. Remember, click the link down below and subscribe to the gameleap website where we have thousands of videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.